Okay, well then okay, while we are applying this particular omega, let's say it's not necessary that omega 1 on omega 2 and all those things has to be same. Say they are rotating in a different angular speed, and from the picture which we have discussed, right? So from this curve we can say f is proportional to omega square, a kf omega square, right? So if we use that equation, we can say the force exerted at each point, okay, will be kf into that corresponding omega. Okay, so now so that's the force balance, okay, and these total force applied due to the lift force due to this motors should be equal to mg in order to balance, okay. Otherwise these are the forces which are acting at each motor. Okay, what about torque? So the torque, once again, if we see this curve, okay, so this is the torque exerted on the rotor, which is once again km into omega square. It's proportional to omega square, so which is what given over here, okay. This is the motor torque. Now for this, let's draw a free body diagram, okay. So if you see the rotor is rotating in this direction, but the exerted drag force is in the opposite direction. So let's call this as m1, this is m2, and m3, m4. Similarly, the force f1, f2, f3 and f4, okay. And what else the force acting on this body? One more force is the gravitational force mg, which is acting downward, okay. So now what is the total force? The total force is so I have to sum all the forces, the vectorial sum, which is f1 plus f2 plus f3 plus f4 minus mg, okay. So minus because it's acting in the opposite direction. So that's the total force acting on this body, okay. What about the total moment or the resultant moment? So due to the drag force, some moments are acting, so those are represented by m1, m2, m3 and m4. In addition to that, these forces will create a moment, okay, and those moments are given using these formulas, okay, R cross F, okay. So that will provide a net resultant moment, and this is a net resultant force, okay. Now so if I have to have so this is the net force, okay, and that net force, if that net force is equal to 0, then there won't be any acceleration either upward or downward, okay. Otherwise there will be an acceleration, okay. So this is the acceleration, it depends on the what is that net force, okay. So now tell me, say this robot is, sorry, this drone is at a particular height, okay. Now I want it to come down, okay, I want it to come down. So what is the one thing I could control? Can anyone say what is the one thing I could control in the drone? So the one thing I could control is this speed, angular velocity, okay, angular velocity. And if I reduce the angular velocity, okay, then automatically this thing will go down, okay. If this thing will go down, then the net force will not be 0, it will be something where the acceleration will be in the downward direction. Okay, so it will be in the downward direction, so that it will come down. And if I have to go up, what I should do? So I should do the opposite. All I have to do is I have to increase the speed so that it will go up. Okay, so that's the basic mechanism in order to go up and down. Okay, so now let's see. So now somebody asked about the controlling part. Let's now focus on this controlling part. So this is the governing differential equation. Okay, this is the governing differential equation, and if you see in this one, okay, for example, I want to I have a desired height. Okay, I want to achieve the desired height. Okay, so that's what a very simple basic thing. Okay, I want to achieve a desired height that my drone has to be. Okay, so how am I going to achieve? I am going to achieve by by exploiting this governing differential equation, where this A is x double dot. Okay, so here I am going to achieve the height by controlling the acceleration. How am I going to control the acceleration? I am going to control the acceleration by choosing the appropriate omega I. Okay, so what should be my u? Okay, so that I could achieve my particular height x. Okay, so that's what we are going to focus now. So if you see say my at this moment x is my current position. Okay, but what I need to achieve is x desired. Okay, what I need to achieve is x desired. Then the difference is x desired minus x. Okay, that's the error. Okay, that we call it as error. So in order to take this x value to x desired, I have to give some u. Okay, and what is the meaning of u? According to this plant model, u is nothing but x double dot. Okay, so I have to control this x double dot so that this e has to go to 0. Okay, so how am I going to achieve that? So if you see, I'm going to choose an equation like this. So I'm going to choose a control algorithm such that I'm going to have an equation like this. Okay, where this Kp and Kv, like we have seen in the last session, which are one is the gain for the position and another one is the gain for the velocity, or in other words, we can also call Kp as a proportional gain and Kv as a derivative gain. Okay, so if I choose this in equation, the control algorithm in this form, okay, that I could rewrite like this. Okay, I could rewrite like this, where u, so e double dot, we can write it like u or x double dot minus x double dot desired, sorry, x double dot desired minus x double dot, that we can rewrite like this. Okay, that we can rewrite like this, and u is my input. Okay, and if I choose this sort of control algorithm strategy, okay, and if I choose my Kv and Kp to be a positive value, okay, automatically it looks like a spring mass damper system, and automatically the error will die down. Okay, automatically the error will die down. Okay, so that strategy is known as PD controller. Okay, so this is nothing but what we have discussed in the previous session. Now, so this is my PD controller, and I using this and this, I calculate what is u of t, and once I calculate what is u of t using this equation, okay, or using this equation, then what will I do? I will go to this equation, okay, and I will calculate what is omega I, and then I will give omega I or the signal of omega I to the actuator, okay, and that will take care of my acceleration, and that will take care of my height, okay. And once again, sometimes there will be a problem, okay, in this PD controller. Okay, there's some question, let me, how can we choose kV and kp value in the previous equation? Yes, okay, for that let me check whether I have those things in the equation. Okay, we will come to that part soon, okay. Now if you see some case, I mean at some certain conditions, okay, we will observe some disturbances, okay. So the disturbances are due to wind, okay. So there will be some wind, and suddenly I will have an extra component of acceleration, okay, or sometimes even there will be a mistake in my model, okay, or sometimes it has to carry something, and something it has to drop something, maybe things like that, okay. Even those things I have to account, and if I do all those things if I account all those things, okay, then the problem is there will be a disturbing force, okay. I have to take care of the disturbing force as well in order to reduce my error. So for that reason, what I will do is, in addition to these terms, I will also add one more term, which is an integral term, okay. So with this integral term, I'll be able to take care of these disturbances, okay, and with this we call this as PID controller, okay. So now comes to the part how to choose my Kp and Kv value, okay. So one thing is, we have to make sure that Kp and Kv should be positive, okay. So once again I'll go to this equation. So this equation is like a spring mass damper equation, where mass is 1 and this is a damping coefficient. Kv acts like a damping coefficient and Kp acts like a spring stiffness, okay, where spring stiffness and damping coefficient has to be positive, okay. So that's one necessary condition in order to have this error to die down in this equation, okay. Let's see some example where what will happen. So this is one of the stable condition. What if my Kv is equal to 0? It is more like in a spring mass damper system, the damping is equal to 0, okay. So if the damping is equal to 0, what will happen? It will just keep on oscillating without dying down, right? So that's the response we will get when we choose Kv equal to 0 but Kp is positive, okay. Now what if I choose Kp and Kv as a negative number? So if it's a negative number, it is like we are dealing with a negative damping coefficient and negative stiffness, okay. So yes, it's physically not meaningful, but mathematically if we see, what will happen is it goes from equilibrium position and it's keep on increasing, okay. The amplitude is keep on increasing. So this is the height which I want to achieve, but the system, what will happen is, so from here it will just go up and then go down, then go up and go down, and it will keep on doing this until it hits something. Okay, but here if you see, it will just go and then it will smoothly come here. Okay, so this is a more better option for this Kp and Kv value. Okay, then there's a question will be positive, then there is a maximum limit. Okay, the maximum limit depends on what type of controller we are using. We can't that's what I mean, it depends on what we are using. But sometimes if I choose a very large number of kV value, okay, let's see what will happen if I choose, say, very large value of kV. Okay, or otherwise in this case very small value of kV but very high value of kp. It actually means for a very little damping, okay, I am choosing a very high spring stiffness. Okay, so if I choose a very high spring stiffness, what will happen? It will act like a underdamped, right? It will act like an underdamped vibration. So at that time, instead of starting from here to go here, it will oscillate, and after that it will die down. Okay, it will take more time to go to the desired value. Okay, but at the same time, if the damping is more, okay, if the kp value is less compared to the previous value, or kv value is more, okay, at that time what will happen is, instead of going from here to here smoothly, it will take more time to reach the equilibrium position. Okay, it is like an over damped system. Okay, so now what we have to do is, we have the independence that we can choose kp and kv value, okay, such that it will be critically damped. Okay, if it's critically damped, then it will go from here to here very quickly. Okay, so maybe at this moment it would be nice to ask that question, what could be the relation between kV and kp in order to achieve the critical damping? Can anyone? What should be the relation between kp and kv? So, which is something we have discussed in the previous class. So kV should be equal to 2 into root kp. Okay, so that's the critical damping. Okay, and if we choose some the kp and kv value such that it considers that condition, then yes, it will soon reach that particular equilibrium condition or the desired position at very fast rate. Okay, see, and again this is over damped. Okay, so that's about the control system. Okay, but there is a problem in that algorithm. Okay, the problem in that algorithm is, here we have made one assumption. The assumption which we have made is, we can vary this W to any value. Okay, so if we vary the W to any value, then it is possible to achieve. But the problem is, there will be some limitation. Okay, there will be some limitation in applying this omega, which means there will be some limitation in the applying force. Okay, so with that limitation, how can I come up with the control algorithm? Okay, so that's what we are going to see now. Okay, I'll do one thing. I will just complete this part, and then we'll have a discussion on that question paper. Okay. So what we will do is, okay, so this is the acceleration using our governing differential equation. Okay, but there is a it can apply only a certain omega I for a maximum value, which means that will provide me some u max. Okay, some maximum acceleration that it can achieve. Okay, now how can I construct the control strategy? The way I am going to construct the control strategy is in the following manner. So u is the one which I have to identify, and I have to feed it over here to calculate omega I, right? So first I will use this equation, okay, which is like the equation which we have seen a few slides before. I'll use this equation and I'll calculate u, okay, and also I will compare it with u max, the maximum u it can achieve, and then among these two things I will check which one is the minimum. Okay, so whichever is minimum I'll choose that. Okay, so that's how I identify the input variable for this governing differential equation, and I will choose my omega I. Okay, and the same idea I'll be using for PID controller as well. Okay, so for PID controller I will calculate u using this equation, and also I'll compare with u max. Among these two things, whichever is minimum I'll choose that. Okay, and I'll choose that that as a u, and then once I choose that as a u, I'll calculate what is my omega I. So that's a little so it's not robustly stable, this algorithm. Okay, but still it's a decent algorithm to keep hovering. Okay, so right, I think that's all about hovering of this drone system. I'm sorry that in between was not able to do things with the Code Tantra. Any questions? So before we go to discuss about this question paper, any questions? One sec. Let me open the question paper. Okay, which book one should refer for calculation part? For this problem, all we have to refer is John J. Craig. So that is the book based on which the equations, everything, sorry, the problems, everything has been chosen. Okay, so once again I will say John J. Craig. Okay, so I have also shared that book in Google Classroom. Okay. Okay, any questions related to this one, quadcopter? Actually, there is a detailed course available. There's a detailed course available on aerial robotics on Coursera. It's a very nice course which was offered by Penn State University, and yeah, please make use of it. Okay, so if time permits, we could have discussed more, but I think it would be appropriate if I discuss some of these questions. Okay, so let's discuss this question. So we have 20 minutes. Okay, so a vector is rotated about a particular axis. Okay, a vector is being rotated about particular axis, which is on y-axis, by 30 degree. Okay, and is subsequently rotated by x-axis by 45 degree. Okay, first I have rotated with respect to y-axis, and then I have rotated about x-axis. Okay, so the sequence is important. So what you need to do is you need to calculate the rotation matrix for this operation. Okay, with respect to y-axis we have done a rotation, right? For the okay, let me open the book as well. So that's a question. If you refer chapter number 2, you will be able to answer. Okay. Okay, is it given for all the okay, so maybe looking at this we can have some idea. Okay, so if I rotate with respect to y-axis, okay, if I rotate with respect to y-axis by 30 degree, then that rotation matrix will look like this. Okay, equation number 2.63. Okay, and then what am I doing? And then I am rotating 45 degree with respect to x-axis. Okay, I am rotating 45 degree with respect to x-axis. Then that rotation matrix will look like this one. Okay, so what you need to do is in the place of beta we need to put 30 degree. Okay, in the place of gamma we need to put 45 degree, but what we need to do is we need to multiply in a particular sequence. Okay, that sequence is important. So first we are rotating with respect to y-axis, so first we need to put on this side we need to put y-axis, and then behind that we need to put this matrix. Okay, and the result you will calculate the total rotation matrix. Okay, and if we calculate we will identify the solution. Okay, so right, so that's how we need to calculate. Any questions? So all we have to do is a rotation matrix for this operation, rotation matrix for this operation. Okay, and then multiply those two rotation matrix. And once again the sequence is important, we should not forget that. so the first operation should be in the left hand side, okay. The next operation should be in the right hand side, okay. The first operation, which is this, the next operation is this, okay. Okay, let's see. Two frames A and B are related by the following matrix, okay. So this is the homogeneous transformation matrix TAB, okay. In this matrix, where is the origin of B with respect to A, okay. So that has been asked, where is the origin of B with respect to A, and we know that in this TAB the first 3 by 3 matrix is a rotation matrix, right, and then this vector is a position, okay, or origin of frame B. So yeah, so I have just spelled the answer, okay. So is that part clear? The second question. Okay, we will go to the third question. So what is the third question? Okay, for the above problem, okay, if this is a position vector, okay, if this is a position vector, then with respect to frame B, then what is the position, the same vector with respect to frame A? All we have to do is a multiplication, right? TAB into PB. Getting a bit slow. Okay, so exactly, so same point which I have to measure, so TAB into PB, that will provide me PA, but while representing this PB, what should I do? I should represent it in the following manner, okay. How I should represent? So I have to write this vector, finally I have to put 1, okay. So like that I have to put represent PB, and that will provide me PA, okay. So right, and then the magnitude of the eigenvalue of the rotation matrix is always okay, as I mentioned, any matrix, what will happen is it will scale the given vector, and also it will change the direction of the vector. But the rotation matrix, what will do is it will not change the it will not increase or decrease the magnitude, okay. It will just rotate, okay. If it's just going to rotate, then can anyone say what will be the eigenvalue? If it's not going to change the length of the vector which we are going to operate, can anyone say what will be the eigenvalue? Exactly, so the eigenvalue is 1, okay. Yes, thanks. Okay, and then two frames A and B are related by the following matrix, okay. This is TAB given, and then what is the transfer matrix? Okay, the inverse, we need to calculate the inverse, okay. One thing what you could do is you could take the inverse of this matrix, okay, or in other words what you could do is we have a formula, where is it? Somewhere it was there. now. Let me check. Yes. So equation number 2.45. Okay, if we use the equation number 2.45, okay, we can calculate what is TBA. Okay, so just use equation 4.5, sorry, equation 2.45. okay, and we can calculate it. Okay, let me check what is the fifth problem. Okay, okay, I mean, என்னாச்சு? வித்யா, வித்யா